Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I know it's like really dark in here, but it's raining pretty hard outside, so we are just doing the best that we can today. It's Monday and I have my cute little new Jane Austen mug that my brother got me for my birthday, so I'm feeling extra cozy, extra productive, extra excited to get back to filming because I just got back from a week-long trip to Alaska and Washington. I got to see a bunch of really cool stuff, so stay tuned for a travel vlog. That's gonna take me a while to edit, but it will be up eventually, I promise. But I finally wanted to go ahead and talk about my February reading wrap up. I read about 10 books in the month of February and 2 books that are DNFs. So total of 12 books that I attempted to read, and I ended up finishing 10. So we're gonna get into it. If you're new to my channel, I post videos on Tuesdays and Saturdays. If you like bookish content, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe down below. And without further ado, let's get into this reading wrap up. So the first chunk of books that I read were the Shatter Me series. It is a young adult dystopian series by Tahira Mafi. I think that's how you pronounce her name. And it centers around a girl named Juliet Ferrers, who is basically stuck in captivity from the get-go, and we're thrown into this world where essentially all world governments have been taken over by a group called the Reestablishment. I believe that there is a lot of issues with like climate and the environment and stuff, and they just decided to kind of take over, and they promised a lot of things to the people. We learned pretty quickly that that's not the case. The Reestablishment isn't what we think it is, and the people in this government are just really destitute. They're in poverty, and Juliet is in captivity because she has something wrong with her. We don't really know the details, but she is dangerous. She has essentially like powers that she is lethal to the touch. So if someone touches her, or if she touches somebody, if they're in contact with her skin at all, she has the ability to basically suck the life out of them and kill them. We learn a lot about her mind because of the way the author writes her books. It's almost like we get a glimpse of her losing her mind and kind of going crazy, and it's so good. I love the writing. It's so fun. It's definitely young adult. Not a lot of depth there. It's all plot, no real character development. Like, you do see some, but it's a very fast-paced book. The books are not very big. Actually, I can show you how big they are. Very thin books, and you're gonna get a lot of strike-throughs in this book, which is really cool because as you can see here, it's like striked through, but she basically strikes through a lot of her thoughts because, again, she's going crazy. Like, she feels like she's going crazy, and she tries to convince herself that she's not a lot of the time. So it's kind of like reading a diary, and it's so fun. I love it. I love Juliet. She's a great character to read, to know, to get to see progress throughout this 6-book series. And I recommend it to everybody. I think it's a great dystopian. If you are a fan of the Hunger Games, if you are a fan of like a one government world system that has kind of like taken over, if you're a fan of like powers and that kind of thing, if you're a fan of like genetically modified things, I think it's so cool. Very like sci-fi. Love it. The only thing I didn't really like were the covers. I think that the eyes just don't mean anything to me, and it was really hard for me to get into this book starting out because I didn't know what this book was going to be about, because the cover doesn't do anything, doesn't give away anything. So I wish the covers looked a little different to tell me more about the story. I think it would entice more people to read it, but I'm glad I finally did. And yeah, amazing. I would give this like a 5 stars overall. Each book was about 4 stars, but in general, this was a 5-star read. The next book that I read in February was The Final Offer on my Kindle Unlimited. It is book 3 in the Dreamland Billionaire series by Lauren Asher. And I've mentioned her before, not in the best light, because I read The Fine Print earlier in 2022 and I hated that book. I think I gave it like a 2 or 1 star rating, but I decided to keep reading it because it is part of a companion series. So Terms and Conditions and The Final Offer revolve around the brothers of Rowan. So Terms and Conditions is about Declan and it's like a marriage of convenience kind of thing, and then we have The Final Offer and it centers around Callahan. We kind of go back to this like second chance love type of situation where he goes back to his grandfather's cottage home in this tiny little lake town. If you are not familiar with the Dreamland Billionaire series, it's kind of about this group of brothers who have to claim their inheritance left by their grandfather, who essentially was like Walt Disney, right? So they have a lot at stake and they have to meet these requirements left by their grandfather in order to take stake in the company and receive their inheritance. And for him, it was basically to live in this home for the summer, and then sell the property that he's living on, but it's like a family heirloom. It's really close to home. He didn't really want to do it, and he has to live in this home with his ex. So it's really bringing up a lot of past trauma and a lot of issues that go on with him, and it deals with a lot of certain issues regarding substance abuse, so trigger warning there if you are, you know, sensitive to any of those topics. But it was really well written. I enjoyed this book so much. I thought that the characters were really well developed, the character progression, the growth, the relationship between Cal and Lila and his brothers, they were all really well done, and I appreciated the writing way more than with the fine print. I think out of all 3, this one was probably my favorite, so I definitely recommend if you are interested in checking out the series. You don't have to read all 3, you can just read this as a standalone. It's perfectly fine. And I think I gave this a 4-star rating. Next, I read Powerless by Elsie Silver, which was also on my Kindle Unlimited, and I loved this book. I think this is one of the very few friends to lovers romances I've read, and it was so sweet. I didn't think it'd be a genre or a trope that I'd be really into, and I found that it was really nice because we have a lot of growth happening with these characters, and we get to see that from the get-go with Jasper. One of the reasons why I really liked it is because not only do we have like a friends to lovers type of romance, but we also have like this runaway type of road trip thing that they do, and he's also like a giant hockey star, so kind of fun hockey romance there as well. And it takes place in a small town, so you get all the little vibes that you like in a cute small contemporary romance. You got small town, friends to lovers, close proximity because they're on a road trip together. We got a runaway bride. We have like so many like unspoken feelings between these two people that they don't really know or understand the feelings that they have for each other, and they feel it's just like a friendship type of love. But it was really cute. If you're interested in contemporary romance, if you're interested in like small town romance vibes, you like hockey players, check this one out. Another 4-star for me. Then on the last day of February, actually, I kind of binge read The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. I read this on the flight to Seattle, and it was a very quick read. I think because it was pretty fast-paced, the storyline, and it was pretty fun to read overall. It didn't wow me. I think Carissa Broadbent is a little more overhyped in my opinion. I read Daughter of No Worlds and it just didn't wow me, and this one was the same but a little different. Like, I did enjoy it more than Daughter of No Worlds because of the characters. I loved that it was like had like vampires in it, but I also really enjoyed like our main character who is not, and she's a human immersed in this world, and like the drama that unfolds here. So we have trials also, which really reminded me of like Akatar. Super cool. Definitely a little more darker just because like they were really intense, and you have like the gruesome brutality that comes with like fighting in order to receive this prize or this competition, to have like all this power or whatever. If you like vampire stories, I think this was pretty cool. It has the same like the sunlight thing. They can eat food, but they don't really get nourished off of it. They have the ability to not just use humans for food, they can have like animals. So it just depends on the type of vampire you are, whether, you know, if you're a little more ruthless and like brutal and kind of like not a good person, then you will just like take advantage of humans or whatever. So our main characters, Oriah and Ryan, let me know what this word looks like to you. They are our main characters. Oriah is, like I said, she's a human. She was basically saved from like early childhood by the king of this vampire kingdom. And she's lived her whole life in the castle with him. He's like a father figure to her by all intents and purposes. And he's basically told her like, hey, I need to save you. I need to make sure you're protected at all times. If you win this competition, then I can protect you because we can like share our powers and I can share my power with you or whatever. And I can make sure that you will be safe. Because being a human in a vampire world is just super dangerous. She forms an alliance with this man named Ryan, who is a vampire, and he's in this competition. And it's like a friendship, I would say, like alliance thing going on, but then it grows into a relationship. I think the pacing was pretty good. I think the challenges were interesting. It was very action-packed. A lot of drama. Pretty much off the bat, you have like boom, 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 a lot of things happening, and then the book ends like that, and you're like, oh, okay, read the next book. So I enjoyed it. It didn't really wow me, but it wasn't terrible. Like it was okay. It was good. So I'm gonna give it like a solid 3.5 stars, 3.75. I think I've just read better books in my opinion, like fantasy wise, and yeah. So not quite a 4 stars, but not a 3 stars. It's like right in the middle. 2 more books and then we're done. Next we have The Hunter by Kerrigan Byrne. This is a historical romance that I read like the beginning of the month. It is a companion series, I think. I'm not sure what the name of it is, but the book before this was The Highwayman, if I'm not mistaken. This one has to do with Christopher Argent, who's like this assassin. He basically works for whoever can pay him, and he is set to assassinate this woman. He is very stoic, very grumpy, kind of like Batman, if you will. And when he finds out who he has to, you know, he goes to where she is performing that night, and he pretty much can't do it. Like he falls flat, he can't do it. And he's really confused as to why he has to get rid of her essentially, and he finds out a lot of things going on, and he's trying to now save her. It has kind of that cheesiness that comes with a historical romance, but you kind of get past it pretty quickly if you are just interested in like an action-packed like assassin mercenary type of man who falls for this like beautiful delicate woman who he feels like understands him for the first time and all of that. Like it's cute, it's whatever. It was a fun read. I recommend it. I think she's a great historical romance writer, and the ending was very fun. It was kind of dark, and I was kind of scared of where it was gonna go. Like, oh my gosh, this is actually gonna happen. And yeah, it was good. I definitely recommend this author. If you are interested in getting into historical romances, she's fun to read. It's not really difficult to get into, and they're really like fast paced. Like it's very short, so it looks like stumpy, but it's a fast read. You can get through in a couple of hours, I promise. Okay, and then the last book that I finished for February was The Hound of the Baskervilles by Arthur Conan Doyle, who is the author of like the Sherlock Holmes collection. This is kind of a short story, I think, because it really went by pretty quickly, and it's in the perspective of Dr. Watson, and there's a case going on where this man needs the help of Sherlock Holmes to solve this case that is like in the moors and like this backcountry type of estate where a man is found dead, and they think it's like some giant animal, some creature that they don't know. And so they're on the case, and he sends Dr. Watson to the estate to try and figure things out for him, because Holmes is just super busy with what he's got going on in London, and he doesn't have the time to go to the country and take care of it. It was witty, it was funny. You have the banter that you know and love with Sherlock and Watson, and yeah, it was a good time. It was fun to read a classic. It was fun to read something not contemporary, and I definitely want to get back into reading more books like that. So if you have any recommendations for classic novels at all, let me know in the comments, because I do want to read more of them. But yeah, if you're trying to read a very short story and you like Sherlock Holmes, I definitely recommend checking this one out. Or like a cozy mystery, I think this will fit right in that category. All right, and now for the DNFs. First we have Tithe by Holly Black. I mentioned this in my ChatGPT recommends books video, which I will have linked up above, but that book was just, I think I'm done with Holly Black, honestly. Her
writing style for like fae people and like her magic system type of writing, it just really isn't for me. I don't even really like her writing just in general.
The storyline from the beginning was really just didn't sit with me right, like in the right way. Her main character is super unlikable and is this young girl who is living with her mom, who's already like not in a great, like she's not the best parental figure, and so she also is like a troublemaker. She's not really doing much for herself, and she just gets into a lot of trouble. She doesn't really care about anything or anyone, and she stumbles upon a fae in, I think, New Jersey is where she's living, and she helps save his life, and then she kind of gets involved in that. I ended up stopping like a third of the way through the book because I could not get through it. Our main character is like a thief. Like when I say she's doing stupid stuff, like she does stupid stuff, and it just really was bothering me because she was like woe is me kind of girl. I just don't like that character arc. Just how she describes the fae, it's borderlines like creepy, and I don't really like that. I like being enchanted. I like, you know, wanting to immerse myself in something like that, not being like,
ew, I don't really want to go around these people
and they sound really terrible and I don't want to know them. So that was what I got. I felt the same way with the Quill Prince. Like her writing style of Elfame was just not my fave. It just wasn't for me, and a lot of people like her writing. A lot of people love the Cruel Prince series. I tried giving this book a shot and it just wasn't for me. Nope, sorry. Moving on. And then the last book that I DNF'd was The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Again, it was in my ChatGPT video. I tried getting into it and I just was really bored. It didn't wow me. I think I'm just gonna watch the movie, call it a day. But I think that's totally fine. You don't have to, you know, fall in love with a book just because it's popular. I think that, you know, you can just give it a shot, and if you don't like it, move on. Try something else. I love mysteries. I love adaptations on TV and stuff. So I think I'm just gonna watch it and I'll probably enjoy it. Maybe down the road I will try to get through the beginning portion because the beginning was just so dull for me. And because it's translated work, I think that there is just like a gap there that I'm not getting because it's translated to English. So it just wasn't hitting for me, but that's okay. And yeah, that's pretty much all the books that I read in February. It was a short month and I had a lot going on, so I didn't get to read too much, but I'm happy with what I did get to read, and I loved the Shatter Me series. I love the books that I found on Kindle, and I'm excited to read more for March. So I already have a few knocked out that I'm so excited to talk about later in the month. But yeah, that's gonna be it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I will see you in my next video. Bye!